Hello and welcome, everyone. It is that time of year once again. It's time for the DWR Summer Tournament. I am Lorgon, and here to bring you a first week matchup of aaron2u2 versus Nimanva. And we have Stags doing the tracking today, Archfield Monk on the restream, and I'm joined here in the booth with Up2NG. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to some of these races for the tournament. Both Aaron and Nimanva, I feel like this is going to be a close competitive race. There are two of our newer runners that have a bunch of races under their belt over the last year. Some decent results. Both have some victories in multi-way races and such. So, yeah, this actually could be a nice close race. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's fun to be back in this time of year where there's going to be lots of races to watch.
And I'm loving our tracker here on this channel. We get to see that they are going to start with some good strength, so it shouldn't be a problem getting off the first few levels here.
Hooray, or boo, depending upon how you feel in the chat. But it looks like things are getting started off here on at least Nim's screen.
All right, we have some fancy syncing up of the action. Looks like we have a fairy flute in the chest. And some wings. You can actually get out of here and save your key.
All right, that could make for a really interesting start then.
And both players are doing that. What's interesting here is that you have an option to potentially just not use your key because your strength stat is so good. You could maybe try and save up the money, but we have Aaron just going directly into the treasury, and Nimanva is going to save, presumably to have a treasury check and then maybe reset if he doesn't like what's in there.
Indeed. So yeah, it's already interesting to see a little bit of divergence in the strategies here.
I didn't see any gold in the treasury, and I'm not sure that we found anything too exciting, and yet Aaron is going to be keyless now, I believe.
It's always possible that he'll reset if he discovers like there's a town just off screen or something, and it changes his strategy. Oh, it turns out that there was a key in the treasury, so he's okay.
Ah, very good. All right, and so they have a cursed belt that they could potentially sell in the near future, and I don't think anything else in the treasury was very exciting, but they are getting some quick early experience, and nice scorpion for an Nimanva to jump to level 2, 1 point away from level 3. So yeah, we should be getting off these levels pretty quickly, and we'll have to see what spells roll in and what other things they want to accomplish before looking around for towns and such things.
Yeah, with the 21 strength start and no swamp anywhere near the starting screen, and some decent monsters that aren't immediately killing them, it looks like they're going to have an easy time getting probably to at least level 4 before maybe they'll do some branching out with just the outside spell here at the start.
I think the wolf that was found was just a few steps to the south, so now Nimanva has avoided going south of the castle and is staying kind of to the northwest where the smaller monsters are for now. Whereas I think that it feels like the scorpion is showing up in multiple zones, which is a really nice enemy early on, and Aaron takes another one down for level 4 with a little bit more of a power gain. Yeah, stats are rolling in. New spell here is Heal More. So pretty quickly now, we're going to be able to go exploring the rest of the world.
Yeah, and so for those in the chat who are hoping for some kind of agonizing start, it looks like you're not going to get it this time around, but I expect the runners will be happy to be able to get a chance to go out and explore pretty early.
Yeah, this is kind of a critical juncture now. Do you want to head out onto the map on level 4 with some low agility that we see there in our stats? Or do you want to just maybe take on these wolves and scorpions for another level or 2? You know, the faster you can round everything up, get yourself in grind and go, that's sometimes an advantage. But sometimes if you head out onto the map too early, like Aaron is just getting wrecked here by a poltergeist.
Right, and
So
while
it's
he
a
did
little
see a
tricky.
cave kind of on the left of the screen, yeah, I agree, especially with the low agility that they have right now. I don't like to try to walk anywhere below 20 agility if I can deal with it, especially with these good monsters that they have in Zone 0, 1, and 2 right around the castle. It seems like sitting and grinding out another level, or possibly even 2, should probably be a reasonable strategy.
Yeah, especially they don't have any healing spells right now. Aaron's actually going to pop back into the treasury. Maybe you're going to do a little bit of, curse spell grinding or something, just in case, we do find a town. You'll have some money that you can acquire from selling those items.
Yeah, something
Not
like
sure what
3
else.
cursed belts at Breckenry for hand axe or something could be a really big deal.
Yes, yeah. Since there's no gold immediately in the treasury, saving up the money is a little tricky, especially when you don't have healing. So you're going to continue to take deaths. Kind of an interesting play, and they both actually did that after their first death. They both went and revisited the treasury. So kind of cool to see some kind of subtle strategies at play here. If they end up in there one more time, like you said, they could end up with hand axe money in the form of
Right,
3
and
curse
they've
belts.
got some fairy waters to carry around, which, given how the strength is turning out, might not be too useful in battle, but it might even start kicking into if they just want to avoid, like some of the slimes or ghosts right here at the outset while they continue to grind around the castle. They might even want to use fairy water potentially.
Ooh, a little bit unlucky that Aaron was not able to get the wolf there. I feel like he goes a little bit low on his attack rolls, and the wolf followed up with some fairly high counterattacks. Ends up back at the castle here. Will he go back to the treasury one more time? Yes. So every time they're taking a death right now, they are just loading up on fairy waters and curse belts. Interesting. I kind of like it. It probably takes an extra 20 or 25 seconds to run in here to do this, but could certainly pay off in the next few minutes if they find a town.
Yeah, and with I'd want to get at least 3 cursed belts just for the hand axe money, like I talked about before. And after that, yeah, it seems like they don't really need the extra like fairy waters or torches or whatever, and so the rest of the time is just kind of potentially time wasted overkill. And it looks like Aaron is going to try to go back over to the left where he spotted the cave before, and so we'll see as he gets this next level if he can get over there.
Some agility has just rolled in along with the hurt spell. So now it's starting to be a little bit more reasonable. Let's get out there and see if we can find some medium strength monsters. Still no healing though. So it's a little bit difficult, especially when you're walking through these giant swamps, to, make too much progress on the map. Here comes a werewolf, gonna send him home right away. But getting some exploration done, not much happening over in that direction. And Nimanva is walking that way as well.
But yeah, with the extra agility at level 5 now coming in, it's, I don't know, at 30 agility, I guess you're, I don't know, like half to 2/3 the monsters. You probably have at least a coin flip to run from that you might find just anywhere in the map.
Aaron opting to grab a 4th cursed belt and replacing one of the fairy waters that was in his inventory, holding on to a couple of torches for later, and heading more in the south direction now. I believe this is the secondary zone where we saw the wolf, but he's probably just going to head straight past it and into the rest of the world.
I suppose Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, as I just mentioned, Nimanva has caught up and surpassed on the experience lead. Has a slight lead now.
I was thinking in terms of all the cursed belts, given that they just have the 1 key replacement in the treasury, getting some extra money just from selling it anywhere in a town so that you could buy a few extra keys. So if you run into Garenham, for example, you'd have the extra keys to work with. That could be another reason to gain some extra cursed belts.
Yeah, what's tricky about that is that if you happen to find Rimeldar, there's no item shop to sell the cursed belts. So it would be a little tricky to acquire multiple keys. But it's certainly possible if you find a couple of towns nearby. We have Starlock and the staff the staff cave, where you turn in your silver harp. Fairly close by, I think, kind of to the southwest. They're both in the area, and there is a town to the south here.
All right, it'll be interesting to see what that town is going to be. Is it going to be Hawksness, or is it going to be one of the friendly towns? And I suppose also with the stats combined with Heal More, at this point the runners are strong enough where if they had to get key money just to buy some on the back of Tantagel, they'd be able to do so if they really needed to.
Here's a perfect place where we can sell these cursed belts. Let's see if there's something good up here in the shop for Aaron. And there's a copper sword available. Won't have quite enough money for the large shield. Later on, we have some big ticket items, broadsword, silver shield available. So could upgrade to the copper sword though right away, and that might help for some of those monsters like the wolf lord we just saw. All of a sudden, we might be able to two-shot them because their strength is coming along pretty quickly. So adding a weapon to that will be pretty useful.
Yeah, and I suppose right now, unless there is some kind of chest with gold underneath Tanager Castle, the silver shield is probably going to be unlikely in the long term in this one.
Man, this is a close race. It feels like they're kind of doing the same thing at the same time right now, and they both had similar strategies to raid the
High
treasury multiple
five!
times. Yeah, virtual
Both talking to the
high five.
Breckenary merchant.
It's pretty hilarious. So yeah, they're in lockstep here. Similar experience, similar strategies in terms of how long they stayed with the early grind and when they chose to go exploring and loading up on cursed belts. Everything's pretty similar. We're looking at a pretty close race here so far.
Yeah, and so I think Aaron had a few more cursed belts in his inventory, but I'm not sure that Nim had few enough that won't be able to buy all the things he wanted to buy anyway. So the extra cursed belts might not matter, given what was available in the shops.
Yeah, I would say if you sold one, you can stock up on herbs, and then you sell one more and you can get the copper sword, and that's basically all that's available now. There's a fairy water shop that's unlocked in the randomizer in this town as well, but I think they already both have a couple of fairy waters and, full inventories. So it depends on kind of what you want to do with that. You could sell off all your cursed belts, just make space, and maybe go buy some fairy waters. If, like you said, you might want to repel some of those nearby monsters close to the castle. They don't have the repel spell, so fairy water can be useful in that case.
Yeah, and we saw that Nim killed a wolf or two, I think, and so if that's the type of enemy that you're going for, and Nim has found the grave, by the way, just to the south.
And Aaron's going the same direction, so amazing. We're having similar runs from both runners. Nimanva gets away from a large monster and gets to the 3 chests.
But yeah, with just agility in the 30s, if there's some Charlock monsters down here, like a blue dragon, for example, it might be hard to run from.
Now, the other thing, I think maybe you were getting at this before, is that selling a whole bunch of cursed belts, if you can get your way back to the castle, you can actually buy more keys. I think they only have like 1 key each right now, right? So that might be another use for some of this money they're carrying around. Although Nimanva has managed to save up for the large shield now because of the gold that was found in the grave. Although Aaron, did he get sniped in there before getting to the chests?
I think a golem may have taken him out.
Yeah, so our first little bit of divergence. Nimanva manages to get to the chests, and now he's got the large shield. And Aaron is going to take some of that money and try and get a few more keys. I think he's going to be just a little short of being able to buy 3 keys here, unfortunately. So
it is nice if you're going to be buying the keys over here, you also get a chance to visit and just see what's under Tanager Castle, and that can kind of inform some decision making.
And it is a dark place. Looks like mountain or tablet, and he's going to light it up. It's Tablet Cave. If there's gold under here, by the way, then that is our one way to actually get a gold grind, since there was no gold in the treasury itself. So sometimes this chest that's attached to the basement here can be pretty important. There were some huge items available in the town, or as far as equipment.
And having the outside spell will at least save him another 25 seconds or something of walking back out of here if he wants. Looks like Nim discovered Hawksness further to the south and just snoped out.
Unfortunately, it was not gold in the basement, but another cursed belt. So that means we've found 2 cursed belts so far out of a possible 3. So those search spots will be fairly important. It's good to note where Hawksness is for later. There's likely something important hiding under a guardian.
Yeah, for those who don't know, you can find potentially up to 3 cursed belts in a treasure chest, and each one you find means one of the overworld search spots, either under the shop in Hawksness, or the Cantlin overworld coordinates, or the dig spot in Coal, will have a corresponding item. So we already know that at least 2 of those spots are going to be populated.
Yep, and in this version of Rando, there are 7 items that can be in each of those search spots. The Urgic Skier, the 3 quest items, and so you can also find the Death Necklace or the Fairy Flute in those locations. We've already seen the flute, so that eliminates one of the possibilities. And Nim is trying to go through this giant swamp that we saw Aaron venture into before. It's notable that there's still no healing spells. They both stocked up on herbs in Brecconary, so you're able to get a little bit further through the swamp here, but still, I think maybe the major challenge remaining right now in the seed is that they don't have healing.
And I see a lot of walking happen on Aaron's side. Was he just lost inside the mountain cave? It looks like he went back to the staircase, and yeah, it does seem like he's in mountain.
Alright, so we've already seen the Grave and Mountain Cave and the Tablet Cave, so a lot of chests are available. They both have keys, so, you know, nothing's stopping them from potentially diving the grave and that sort of thing. I don't think either of them have actually bought a full stock of keys yet, at least I haven't noticed it, so they have to be careful not to use their last key at some point, because Rimaldar has not been found yet, and I don't think there's been a stray key anywhere either.
And I'm a little surprised, like, they haven't had too much trouble. I didn't see all the monsters who were in that north-south zone that I think had the wolf, but this is one of those places where I wouldn't mind trying to, like, grab level 7 off of some wolves if you can repel some of the easier monsters, unless maybe I missed it that one of the monsters had, like, some bad attack.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always a fan of getting some of those early levels on the secondary zone monsters. There were warlocks and wolves around. But, you know, that surprisingly, they have pretty good stats here for level 6. The agility has come along. HP is not terrible. The strength is really good. So I kind of don't blame them here. They are making progress. I don't think they're seeing too many, like, red dragons on the map so far. So.
And both the players are venturing to the north, where apparently there is Cantlin and then Free Stuff Cave. And I already missed what was in the Free Stuff chest. I don't know if you saw that.
I actually missed it also, unfortunately. See if our eagle eyes in chat will inform us. Gold in the Free Stuff Cave. Alright, useful because gold is kind of hard to come by, so Nimanva now has enough money for more keys if he ends up taking a Death Warp. And Goldman might want to try and take that guy down for some gold, but no, it's going to hit pretty hard still. Aaron is selling a bunch of cursed belts over here in Cantlin, getting ready to do some shopping potentially. Maybe there's a chainmail here.
Nim walked in and out without really looking at the shops because I don't think he had that much money on him perhaps at the time, and so it'll be interesting to get a look and see if there's anything good here.
Ooh, a lot of larger items, probably looking for chainmails and small shields and such things. If he has a big stock of herbs, he could make his way over to the wizard's house there, taking a lot of damage in the process. Right now, just getting a few keys, though. I think this is probably a good play to just... Well, wait, how many keys does he have? I guess maybe he already has a bunch? I didn't see him get full keys yet, but he only bought one.
I think he wanted to check the shop first, yeah, because there's a hand axe available here, and so he could potentially buy that and then go buy... I guess he wouldn't have enough to buy another key even after selling the copper sword.
Yeah, it's too bad. In future games, you could sell the copper sword first and get the rebate, and then he'd be able to afford the hand axe.
And if there were a bamboo hole there or something, yeah, you'd be able to buy the bamboo hole in order to sell it and get the rebate kind of that way as well. But in this case, there wasn't a cheaper item.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. But there is one in this shop, so he could have done that. Instead, he has spent the money on other things. Just got the clothes and the small shield, and I think he stocked up on keys, so that's also useful. Now, if he has enough herbs, he could actually make it over here. I think he has full herbs, so we'll see. Oh, he picked up Heal More as well. He has one casting of that to work with, so yeah, no problem. We're going to get some coordinates here.
And we found a lot of the locations already here in the first 20 minutes. There's still a few towns left to find, but the players have a pretty good knowledge of most things other than Swamp Cave, Coal, or Molder. I can't remember if they've seen the Jerk.
I don't believe they have seen that yet.
Oh, and Garanham, of course. That's a big one, because one of those cave entrances is going to be in the back there.
Alright, Aaron is making his way back out of the starting region, and Nimanva unfortunately runs into a stone man. He was in between the town and the cave there to the north, and sent home.
But he did manage to pick up level 7 before that. Didn't look like it was too huge, but the strength seems to keep on coming along. And so even with the Copper Sword, these runners are having not too bad of a time managing to kill some of the mid-game kind of enemies that they encounter. Looks like Aaron's trying to find a place to grind.
Interestingly, they're both running into small monsters and did not use the fairy water that they both, I think, still have a few of those. But yeah, looks like Aaron is looking for some medium-sized monsters here to grind up a level for now, and Nimanva's not bothering with that. He's going to go into another giant swamp. And Green Dragon. Yep. So a little bit of divergence here as Aaron tries to catch up on the experience.
And yeah, neither player is particularly well armored at this point. They do have the Heal More spell that I guess they can cast once. I guess Nim is up to being able to cast it twice, but for the most part, spells are not a big part of the game just yet.
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually noticed this in quite a few seeds with this latest version, is that sometimes the MP stat in particular can take a really long time to get off the ground. Like I've seen seeds where you're level 10 and still have, under 20 MP. So when you learn Hurt More or Heal More, it's like you really want to use the magic, and sometimes you just don't have any. So here's the bonus cave now for Aaron. Now he has that knowledge. Potentially we could come back in here a few times if you have something like a broadsword that you know where it is and you want to go upgrade. Takes one step though and finds a wraith first, so I'm not
I
sure
think it does look like he's intending to go
in.
back in there though. Since
Right.
he took a step to the right rather than to the north, I think he's probably going to go back in. Although having to cast Heal More against the Wraith, maybe the survivability is going to come into play. We'll see.
Yes, okay, here it is. So the town, is that Cantlin right to the south there, or was that another town?
I believe that was Cantlin that's right there to the south.
Yes,
Both of them
this
are
is
to the
a
north of
perfect
start.
opportunity. He doesn't have the largest shield yet either, so potentially like just 2,300 gold, broadsword, large shield, and you're doing much better. There was a half plate in there as well if you want to get an extra 1,000. No problem at all with this grind, especially since you know that there's not a gold grind available in the castle. This might be your best way to get some of the medium-sized equipment. I like this play.
Indeed. And meanwhile, Nimanva manages to take out a Droll Magi and pick up level 8, and the strength keeps on coming for these heroes today, so it doesn't seem like that's going to be a limiting factor in this particular seed.
And Aaron's going even further. He already has enough right now for broadsword, large shield, half plate. Maybe he saw a full plate in there that he wants to grind up for.
I think there was a full plate, yeah, and so that would be my guess. And so I guess he would be going for
yeah,
like
going too much
5,500.
further, like grinding up for a flame sword or something, it starts to get a little bit questionable. It just takes so long to go one chest at a time here. It takes, I think, something like 12 seconds each time you want to go in and grab a chest out of there. I don't know.
But yeah, it looks like he got
now he's in
5,000 and
losing
now
this money. Ugh, gross. Rip gold. But
only
you can
half
always
of
come
it.
back in here and repeat the process.
He can even buy like some armor on the way up, potentially, and that'll give him a little bit more survivability for the second time in, although it does mean it would be another kind of in and out of Cantlins. That's going to cost him another 30 seconds to do that shopping in between if he wants to do it that way.
Always amusing that there's a cursor kind of shadowing Nimanva as he's counting out these coordinates. But yeah, it looks like he's going to try and do this count without the princess, and it was like 50 steps one way and 30
Yeah.
steps another
I
way.
don't
It's pretty
know that
far.
we've seen enough of the map to know if this is going to be walkable yet, because I'm not sure that it seems like it might be farther north than the players have gotten so far. So it'll be interesting to see where this ends up going. And also, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. We haven't seen any of the quest items yet, and we've already seen a lot of the caves. So we know where a lot of chests and things could potentially be. I guess there's still towns that are missing that are
Yeah,
going to
with
have a lot of
those
stuff.
2 cursed belts found, I feel like it's going to be pretty important to locate the search spots, since although, like you said, all the quest items are still out there. Could
Right, but
potentially
yeah,
dig
given
up
that
some
they're all
Erdrick's
still out
gear.
there, I feel like the odds that a search spot's going to have something like, Erdrick's armor or the sword, which would really help you right now, are going to be lower as a result. And so I don't know that I would be necessarily hightailing it for the spots
So
just
this is
yet.
interesting. Aaron I feel like he's already checked these shops before, but now he's like double checking them again to see. All right, well, he already had the money for the broadsword, so he makes that upgrade. I feel like he was kind of scoping out, all right, maybe I should go get some more gold for, whatever's in these shops. But no, he was pretty much, I think, at least for now, just upgrading to the broadsword and the half plate. Not sure if
Nim
he'll
just
bother
got
going to
taken
get
out
more
by an
money.
armored knight. I missed what attack the armored knight did, but I think I might have seen 70 damage, which would imply Dragon Lord 2 breath. I'm not sure if I missaw that or not.
Ooh, red enemies with DL2 breath are pretty nasty. You definitely want to make a note of that for the end game. If you see a bunch of those in Charlock, it could be rough.
Indeed. But in the meantime, Nim is continuing to hold on to this experience lead, still about double the XP that Aaron has, but obviously Aaron is spending a bit of time investing in trying to upgrade some of this equipment now that he's got the broadsword and the half plate.
I'll be interested if Nim actually made like a what would you call it, like a reference point for his count, and he's going back. Yeah, and so now it looks like he's trying to pick up his count from where he left off. If he like knows exactly where he died. And I'm not, like you said, I'm not sure that it's going far enough in this direction. The landmass just ended there
Yep,
with
it
a
just
bunch of
ended.
ocean.
Yeah. So if there is a second continent right now, my guess would be it's going to be on the second continent, but we still haven't seen enough of the map to be sure.
Yeah, as Zarnex pointed out, I think that there was a plan there for the shopping trip, and maybe he had to readjust after taking a death there. Maybe there was a full plate, and instead, he only had half the gold available, so he ended up just getting the half plate. But broadsword, half plate, small shield is pretty decent now for Aaron, and levels up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see now if he actually spends some time fighting some monsters in some of these early zones, if he's able to kind of catch up on the experience while it seems like Nim is trying to branch out and see if he can get some stuff out of the mountain cave. It looks like the first chest was a gold chest.
Yeah, I see Aaron pacing around looking for that wolf that was popping up. At 44 defense, I think if he used Fairy Water, he might lose the wolf. So he's just kind of dealing with the ghost that pops up in between, and that's just the way it goes. There are poltergeists here as well. Yeah, and if Nimanva can actually full clear this dungeon on this dive here, then he will have kind of opened most of the chests, right? He was in the grave earlier, got the top 3 there. I haven't seen what's in the basement of the grave yet. I think he's been back to Garanham for the back 3, maybe?
All right, he managed
I
to
might be
pick up...
making that
No,
up.
yeah, not the Garanham. He managed to pick up the Stones of Sunlight there in Mountain Cave, though, so that's at least one of our quest items finally located. And on the bottom floor of Mountain Cave, so far it doesn't seem like there's any super fearsome monsters, unlike the top 4.
Our first quest item is in the book, so Nimanva with the slight exploration lead now while Aaron tries to catch up on experience. Seems to be
And I think I saw
branching out
wings
again.
and an herb in the next 2 chests in the mountain cave, so there's just that one final chest now, I think, for him to try to get down to. And unless he gets surprised by another monster we haven't seen, I think he's going to make it all the way down there, and so that'll be a good clear out of the mountain cave, checking things off of his list.
Oh no, the Armored Knight has sleep also, so Wombo combo is in effect for Charlock. So at that point, you may want to sometimes grind an extra level before going into Charlock. A lot depends on how confident you are in your agility score at the end and other factors. But that is a real bad news situation. And the worst case scenario here would be if the armor ends up being in Charlotte Castle, then you're taking full damage while you're trying to dive through. So let's see what happens towards the end, but we're not there yet.
And it'll also be interesting to see if it changes Aaron's strategy at all in terms of once you run into one of those guys in the overworld, like it can also potentially make you a little bit more tentative about choosing to do more exploration versus trying to settle into a grind to pick up one more level. Because they're going to be hard to get away from if you run into them on the overworld too.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting that they actually haven't gained any new spells in a while. How they've gotten, 3 or 4 levels, and they're into the middle
even if
levels.
they did gain some spells, like they hardly have the magic points right now to do it. Like you were calling out, yeah, we're at 22 MP here at level 8. That is not a great MP stat. You'd hope to see it closer to like 50 at this point in the race. So
yeah, but if things kind of stay the way they are, I feel like Aaron should be in better shape with the broadsword rather than the copper sword that Nimanva has. But now it looks like he is ready to do some upgrading. He went back into the bonus cave for some money, and yeah, he's about to run down here.
Yeah, I think he'll find the shop that has the broadsword shortly, and so that's going to even things out. And also, like, the strength has been high enough. Like, obviously, the broadsword is a big upgrade, and so you definitely want it. But the strength has been high enough that even with lesser weapons, he was doing okay. What did you see?
He passes on the broadsword in order to get the half blade instead, and it's just it's not a hurt more seed. I just think that you really want a good weapon here. But I don't know.
He might. I can't remember if he had checked all the shops before, and so I wonder if he is going to, having looked at the shops, make another decision and go grab the gold out of the Sunstone's Cave free stuff chest again in order to go back for the broadsword. It'll be interesting to see. Oh no, he just is choosing to take the hand axe right now. And honestly, a hand axe versus a broadsword, like I guess it's a 5 attack power differential. It's not going to be a huge difference, and so hand axe is probably good enough to run with for at least another level or two.
Yep, interesting stuff there. Like you said, he can always just go and raid that bonus cave like 2 to 3 more times if he wants to upgrade to the broadsword, but then you always have to factor in it might take another full minute to do that by the time you walk all the way down to that
right. Yeah, you're very good about thinking about the time cost of doing another shopping trip, which I think is something that a lot of players don't think a whole lot about. I know you really like to optimize not spending time in towns whenever possible. So we're going to get a chance to see the final chest in Mountain Cave as Aaron picks it up over here.
Looks like an herb, maybe? Yeah, you have to think to yourself, I guess, will upgrading to the broadsword over the hand axe save me more than a minute for the rest of the seed, if it's going to cost a minute to get it, am I really saving that much time afterwards? It's a similar situation when some players are faced with the possibility of doing a gold grind, like late in a seed, like an hour into the seed. Am I going to gold grind for the silver shield when I'm, virtually done with the seed? Am I going to save that time, by repelling a few extra monsters in Sharlock or whatever? So there's always a risk and a reward to almost every decision.
I love this play, but Aaron is just going to take a stab at the golem. He probably wouldn't mind the death warp out of Mountain Cave if it happens. I don't know that his odds are very good against the golem, but it is staying asleep for many turns.
Yeah, and as Zarnax mentions in chat, the time you spend walking around in towns is time you're spent mostly just not getting anything done. Particularly your experience total is frozen at that point. So the less time you can spend just walking around in the town, and like the broadsword is in the lower shop, for example, in Cantlin. So that's just that many more seconds.
Aaron did manage to take out the golem. That's 255 experience, and so that's quickly narrowing the gap that he has to catch up in terms of Nim's experience here.
Oh, was he using flute strats on the golem there?
And it stayed asleep for like 7 turns in a row or something. He did have to re-put it to sleep and heal more once. But that is still, I think, pretty lucky, but it was a gutsy call. It took a little bit of time, but it ended up paying off.
Sometimes you just feel like you're behind, you have to take a little bit of a risk, and yeah, it worked out there. A lot of people knock the fairy flute as an item, but sometimes it really is useful and sometimes very important, depending on if the golem is guarding something or whatever, and it has some abilities. It's really nice to be able to put it to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, the inventory management is kind of the main trade-off, both in terms of it taking away a spot that you might need a fairy water or a torch, as well as the fact that when you're menuing around or whatever, like trying to get a fairy water and you accidentally blow the fairy food or something can easily cost you some time if you're not paying very close attention.
So Aaron's back in this same region that he's kind of been a few times, where Charlock is to the west, and there's that cave there.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone's gone southeast, and so going kind of east from here, I don't know that we've seen a whole lot of. It looks like Nim is now taking a path to the east, and there is another town, so this could be something new.
All right, and Garenham is still out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. We also still have Cole and Rim to find.
All right, here's a big one too. The search spots, a couple of them will have something. It's Erdrix.
Well, Nim will now be able to play a video game in Erdrix Arcade because he's picked up Erdrix Token. That's what's in our search spot in Cole. It's good to find these progress things that they're going to need to complete the game, but you'd ideally like to find some better stuff along the way, but at least here's an inn and a chance to continue exploring.
Yep. Stone Man is a little bit frustrating to find when you don't yet have the sleep spell. They're highly susceptible to sleep. They can run block you sometimes. Agility's still only in the 40s. And a little bit of tough luck there for Nim, just getting two-shot by the Stone Man. HP is kind of lagging now, so you can get two-shot by the big monster still. And agility is kind of like, you're still only kind of a coin flip to run from some monsters.
And you called out not having sleep. And in addition to not having sleep, they also have only gained the repel spell like in the last 5 levels or something. And so one expects that each new level now is going to be more and more likely to add a particularly useful spell. But we're not there yet.
So Nimanva is doing some stutter stepping again. I think he was the one that attempted this count earlier, right? So now he's got another plan.
And he was kind of going northwest before, and now he started doing it somewhat to the east. I didn't see exactly the route that he took to walk here. I just know it's mostly to the east. But yes, if this is in the northeast, then this could be headed toward those coordinates, which could still have a very important item.
And I don't think we've seen anyone go deep grave yet, so Aaron has decided to revisit the grave. I think that he had already gotten the top 3 chests, but maybe he had gotten sniped before. But meanwhile, he's decided now's the time to go deep grave diving. There are a lot of items still that we need to find, so this could pay off if he finds something that's required. Ooh, but he gets away. Okay, very good. Very low on resources. We keep mentioning the very low MP. Continues to be a struggle.
But meanwhile, as Nim is trying to do the count, it sounds like he's putting down a marker because it seems like he might have a little detour in this town. Oh, no, I guess that's the town that he was already in.
Sometimes it's useful to note exactly where that town is anyways, write down the coordinates in case you do get sniped. You can just make a beeline back for that reference point. But yeah, this is a pretty big count. I think that the map kind of winds around a little bit, so...
I see. That was Cantlin, and then just to the north of it was that cave. And so hopefully this time Nim is going to start walking to the east rather than walking to the west.
So I believe the 4th chest was just another stray key, and now he's about to get the bottom chest here in the grave. He's standing right on top of it. A Demon Knight is a little bit dangerous, but gets away. Nothing good, unfortunately. So now he can try outside, although he doesn't have enough MP. So looking around for a ticket home from a big monster.
But yeah, at this point, other than the chest in Remolder and the 3 chests in the back of Garenham, the search spots are the only other kind of like chests in the overworld outstanding. And so there's still a lot of items to fit into all those places. It seems right now that Garen is going to be an extremely important town to find.
And I think, was it only Nimanva so far that found Hawksness earlier, and we just aren't strong enough yet? It's starting to get closer to the point where we want to find out what's the Guardian over there.
I remember he popped in and out. I can't remember if Aaron had also gone in there and actually seen anything that was in there. And it looks like
Nimanva must have got sniped again en route to this. He keeps trying to do this count. Because now he's to the southwest again of the castle.
I think chat and the tracker suggest he might have found a death necklace on that location.
Ah, successful count then. Very good. Death necklace. So that means the spot in Hawksness, if there is anything there, it's going to be one of our Urgix gear or the Silver Harp, since the flute and the necklace now are both found.
Yeah, having the flute and the opening cutscene with the king or whatever in one of those first chests is kind of nice from the point of view of it takes it out of the pool of things that you're going to be potentially disappointed to find later on in the game.
And Aaron, who was pretty far behind with experience before, has pretty much closed the gap now, while Nimanva has extended the exploration lead slightly by finding that token way out in the middle of nowhere up in Coal. So Aaron's got some work to do with exploration, but the experience gap has closed.
Yeah, and right now, I don't know, I feel like possibly Nim is a little bit in the lead, but it still feels like a very close race at this point, and there's still a lot of unknowns that could change things.
Including Armored
The known
Knight, Swift
unknown.
Leap, and
Yeah.
Dragon Lord Breath, who could be in Charlock. So
Touche.
yeah, any sort of race that's close, the Charlock dives that are not free can be a huge factor. Looking forward to that.
And Nim is here spending a little bit more time buying and selling things in towns once again. So a little bit more of this time being spent on towns while Aaron is out in the world trying to kill some big monsters from experience. Aaron is going to take the experience lead for perhaps the first time in a little while as he continues to explore out here, I think, to the northeast.
Yeah, Aaron's on very low resources again, but my hunch is that if he keeps going this way, he will find coal. We're going to grab level 10 in the process here first.
And it looks like Nim is going to now do that disappointing dive into the bottom of Garen's grave, where I think a key and an herb were the two items that he'll eventually discover if he makes it all the way to the bottom.
I was wrong. This is that area where the water just ends there. So I guess he's a little further west than I thought. So he's going to have to come back south and go a different way. He picked up the sleep spell on that level, but no hurt more yet. But, we have seen quite a few stone men.
Yeah, the stone men out in the overworld, the sleep spell will definitely be useful for that. And because it only costs 2 magic, they don't have a whole lot of other things they could spend magic on. Like, I wouldn't mind having 3 sleeps as I'm trying to make my way to the next town.
Yeah, not even regular heal right now, so Aaron is just risking walking around with 20 hit points. Now he's got one hit point, trying to get back to town here. If he had some herbs, he could be using those, but a lot of runners don't like to use their herbs once they buy them because you kind of want to save them up for Charlock. It's a little tricky. Maybe he didn't have very many because he's at the herb shop now. It's gonna stock up so that, because heal more is very expensive when you only have... I don't know.
Yeah, despite the fact that they
MP?
have heal more, the low magic and the fact that their hit points also aren't super big make the heal more not super economical. And so buying the herbs, once again, it's spending a little bit of time in the town, but could definitely extend your longevity on the overworld by quite a bit. So it still seems like something they really want to have, given that we haven't found Erdrick's armor.
Yeah, so between the two runners, Aaron still needs to find coal. We know that's required. Nimanva already has that done. And like you said, we still really want to find Garenham pretty quickly.
The other thing, though, with Garenham
somewhere.
that's kind of interesting is the Jerk, I think, is still outstanding, and we still haven't found the Silver Harp. And so the Harp Cave, it wasn't too far away from the start, but it would be a pain in the neck if you discovered the Jerk Cave, for example, on the back of Garenham and still didn't have the Harp, and then eventually have to pick up the Harp, go trade it in, and then walk all the way back up to Garenham in order to get the Jerk. Oh, the Jerk has been found by Aaron.
Oh, so what does that leave now for caves that can be in Garenham anyways?
I think Swamp Cave might be it. And so perhaps Remolder is on a second continent through the back of Garenham.
Swamp Cave could be interesting if Aaron doesn't want to attempt this count manually, then the princess, needs to be rescued. I think Aaron has the coordinates but hasn't even attempted the count yet.
And for those who may not be as familiar with Dragon Warrior Randomizer, the guy that we affectionately call the Jerk is a guy who will trade in the Stones of Sunlight and the Silver Harp and Erdrick's Token in order to get the Grainbow Drop, which is what you need in order to get access into Charlotte Castle. Those are the 3 quest items you eventually need to round up and bring to him. And so that is kind of like the main side questing things the players are trying to do while they're trying to get stronger, both in terms of their stats and their equipment.
So Nimanva did know where Hawksness was, ends up revisiting, had a clutch runaway from an armored knight en route to the spike tile, but the spike tile ends up being a red dragon, and it's just, they just don't have the hit points right now. Level 9 still for Nimanva, 54 hit points. You just can't realistically beat a red dragon unless it happens to be spamming some weak abilities. Didn't look like it had any abilities just yet, so.
And with Swamp Cave outstanding, it means they won't be able to find the other spike tile that was in there. It occurs to me it could be the case that Garenham is on the second continent, and Swamp Cave is going to back into Garenham once the players manage to find it on this one.
Yeah, interesting. So exploration, who's going to find these last couple of towns? Aaron takes an intentional death in the swamp. I guess maybe had explored as far in that direction as possible and wants to go a different way. That's one way to get your MP refilled. All 30 points of it. They do have repel, so he's going to pop a repel. Now we're down to 28. And let's see which way he tries to go from here. Oh, look, we have some counting happening now for Aaron. His first attempt at this situation.
And I think he'll be disappointed to discover that it's the Death Necklace, because their hit points aren't very good. For those who don't know, in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, the Death Necklace, in addition to cursing you, will cause you to lose a quarter of your hit points, but give you 10 extra attack power. So it gives you some trade-off options toward the end of the game in terms of being strong enough to fight the Dragon Lord. But given the hit point situation right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be probable that they'll have enough hit points that that's going to be a useful trade-off.
Yeah, something weird would have to happen because we already have pretty good strength, so we'd have to get like no strength for the next few levels and then just giant hit point gains, which, you know, it's a randomizer, it can happen.
It's unlikely to happen, but I guess with the overworld square being the Death Necklace, I think that means you can search it repeatedly and take like 120 gold out of it each time, and so it would be a potential gold grind if you were going for some other big ticket item, but I don't know that that would be worth it at that kind of slow pace of searching.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I've done it before when it ends up being in coal and there's a flame sword there, but I feel like we're a little late in the seed to be doing something like that. But he does actually nail his count pretty quickly, so not a lot of time lost. Princess won't be required. Both runners have the overworld item in their possession, and I'm not sure if there will be much reason to go through Swamp Cave unless it leads to Garenham somehow, but it kind of feels like you're going to have to find Garenham to get to the Swamp Cave, right? Because there's not much left.
Or vice versa.
Yep, so let's see here. Back in Breckenary for Nimanva, just for an in-stop, because again, the MP situation is really bad. Cats heal more a couple times, you need to get back to an inn, so the best thing here is like what Aaron's doing is to find some medium strength monsters where you're just one-shotting and two-shotting and potentially not taking much damage on the counterattack. That's kind of the sweet spot there. That Wolf Lord was nice.
And yeah, Aaron still has that 5 attack power advantage of having the broadsword versus Nim's hand axe, so that's helping him a little bit in terms of some of this mid-game grinding. But on the other hand, Nim does have the large shield, so a little bit of extra defense compared to Aaron.
The Wyvern seemed like it would be a perfect enemy with this stat situation, but it counterattacks with the Dragon Lord Breath, which neither runner can survive right now because the HP is still really low, and we don't have Erdrick's armor.
However, I think Nim possibly has finally spotted a new town somewhere down here in the southeast, if I'm correct.
So it feels like this race and the seed in general that started off promising with some quick, we started with like 21 strength. It seemed like, oh yeah, bing bang boom, we're going to get a bunch of levels and we're just going to go find everything. Things have stagnated because HP is still low, no Erdrick's armor.
It could be about to change, though, because as Nim puts the golem to sleep and runs away, he's going to step into the town. Oh, but this one turns out to be Remolder. It's not Garenham.
Well, one chance here for something good, and it is the torch. Yes. Wait, no, that's not what he was looking for. Okay, so that's
I was
one
still
less
happy to see it.
One less
I've got a
chest.
torch emote. Gives me a chance to show it off.
Oh, that is a very nice emote, Lorgon. Very good. Takes an in on the way through, and if he wants, he can refresh his key situation. So he checks his inventory, decides against it, and we'll be moving on. Seems to be kind of in the southeast quadrant of the map here.
Yeah, which feels like one of the only unexplored places, but there's been a lot that I've forgotten in the course of the race trying to keep up with the 2 players. There's the other town!
All right, so while Aaron has extended the experience lead slightly... Oh, wait. So was he already in this town? Because he is going the wrong way.
Oh, that was Hawksness. I see.
So we're still looking for Garanham or... Yep, there's Death Warp from the Werewolf. Among other things, agility is still not stellar. So all of the stats except for strength are kind of causing death here. Whether it's low HP with Dragon Lord Breath or just not being able to get away from monsters. So back at the castle we go, and now Nimanva's decided to go southwest. Back towards the Sherlock region, and Aaron just took a U-turn, and trying to think of where they haven't been now.
Yeah, I think they explored all the southwest at the beginning of the seed, but I can't remember if possibly ended up like taking any deaths when they were trying to explore. I think we've seen all the southwest. To the south and kind of directly to the east is how you get to Hawksness and Garen.
So Aaron paused there, trying to decide if there's anything he can realistically beat here. 63 hit points.
He's got Stop Spell, and so any of the monsters he hasn't seen would be candidates at least to possibly realistically beat. And so yeah, at this point, I think you got to try if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, this is another issue, as the Armored Knight is in Hawksness. Now, Nimanva had a clutch runaway. Oh, a clutch runaway from Aaron as well. Unfortunately, he's going to be a little disappointed by the Red Dragon that's sitting here. Really tough. Like you said, maybe throw a Stop Spell out there just to see what's going on. But low MP, low HP, this is not winnable.
And I guess based on the 2 runners that we've seen, all we've seen the Red Dragon do is bite. And so if it doesn't have any capabilities, at least, once they get some better armor and hit points, that could be potentially a good tile if they need to grind experience late in the seed. But yeah, it's going to be a while before they're there. But yeah, given that Remolder is just, a screen away from Hawksness, it would be one that you could get back to and potentially do some grinding on. But yeah, the Swamp Cave we still haven't found.
My fuzzy math is telling me that Red Dragon can hit Aaron for 23 to 47 damage right now. So
my rule of thumb is anywhere in like the mid to late game, like just assume a Red Dragon can hit you for about 42, and you will almost always be right. Plus or minus, like 4 or something. Yeah. And so
it's funny because it takes a little bit of experience with the game before you realize just how much damage you're gonna get from that Red Dragon, because you're kind of like fighting everything else, and even like werewolves and stuff are doing 15, 20, 25 damage. So you're like, all right, I can swing at 35 against the Red Dragon. No, you're getting sent home. They're so strong. And Aaron finds pretty much that same werewolf I feel like that Nimanva ran into. I don't know if he's just trying to get away here. I guess he's trying to take it down. It would give him a level if he manages this. 1 heal more remains. He uses it. It's going to get 2 more swings. And werewolves are pretty dodgy. Oh, gets him. Here's the level for Aaron with the slightest of leads here, experience-wise. Not much on the level.
So yeah, like you said, we started out with a seed that looked like it was going to get off to a strong start, but now we've really kind of bogged things down here in the middle of the game. Nim, meanwhile, I think is back inside Garen's tomb because I think he didn't make it all the way to the bottom last time, so he's going to be disappointed to find an herb down here, but at least he'll have the knowledge. And that means that the the big thing that's
This
outstanding.
wyvern, yep, he did not know that the wyvern had the DL2 breath, so he kept attacking it, and he is not going to see the last chest in the grave. It's only an herb, but to have that hanging over your head, like, do I go back in there? You know, he's only got a couple of more places to check now, right? So it's like, ugh, now what?
Right. But yeah, until one of the players finds the Swamp Cave or Garenham, whichever one happens to be on the first continent, yeah, there's just still some big outstanding unknowns in terms of how the rest of the seed is going to unfold. Because if we don't find, especially Erdrick's armor, but Erdrick's sword potentially as well, somewhere in Garen.
Yeah, and the other thing, Aaron still has not found Cole, which has the token, so there's a little bit left for him to do there. But after that, like you said, it just comes down to finding your way to Garenham, because the only search spot that hasn't been checked is that one in Hawksness. They can't realistically win that fight right now, so you're better off just finding Garenham, seeing what else you can find before getting back to the last place.
Suppose Garenham does turn up empty in terms of Erdrick's items, though, however. At this point in the race, like, if you found that and had that information, do you know what you would be trying to settle into a grind in order to get stronger here would be?
Yeah, that's a good question. With the Red Dragon and Hawksness, now, of course, we don't even know what the spike tile is in Swamp Cave. So now,
If we found Garenham, we
have
would
no
know, I
Hurt More.
suppose, because one of the entrances to Swamp Cave has to be in the back of Garen. So I guess that would actually inform the decision potentially a lot.
Yeah, but without Hurt More and with low MP, like any spike tile grind right now is going to be kind of nasty. So I think you make a good point. If you need a couple of levels right now to make progress, it's not easy to figure out where you're going to get those experience. So even if like you had access to Sharlock right now, is that even a play that you'd want to make with no Hurt More and 30 MP? I don't know. Kind of a rough, like you said, stagnating kind of seed here, where now we're getting close to an hour in and they're just like not really strong enough to.
I think I remember seeing a place somewhere to the south that had both Wolflord and Droll Magi in it, and so that's the one zone I can think of that has a couple of monsters that are kind of sitting in the player's current sweet spot. I don't remember if there were other bad monsters in that zone, and I can't remember for sure if both of those monsters were together in the same zone. We've also seen Spectre in the overworld. But yeah, nothing stands out in my mind as like, this would be a good place to do a mid-game overworld grind.
Theoretically, the best spot with these current stats and abilities would be someplace where you're just barely defense breaking the monster, which like the Wolflord probably comes to mind. But the problem there then is you can't use Repel. So in Randomizer, you can end up with a whole bunch of weak monsters surrounding the one that you're looking for. In the vanilla game, like the whole grinding strategy is to find the zone that you're defense breaking all the monsters, but they're all relatively close in terms of, you know, their experience that they give and all that. So, but in Rando, they're all mixed together. So yeah, you really have to hunt around and make note if you find a good zone.
It looks like Nim at least did learn his learned his lesson against the Wyvern this time. He saw it and ran away immediately, only to be confronted with the Blue Dragon. Actually, we got a Blue Dragon on Aaron's side as well.
And what is this town? This is not going to be Cole for Aaron. I think that was way up in a swamp. So, he is desperately trying to deal with this Blue Dragon. Oh, manages a Blue Dragon victory there for 180 on low resources. So, nice job by Aaron, extending the lead slightly with experience. Again, he's behind on exploration.
And so, yeah, Aaron, he's managed to take out a Blue Dragon. He took out that Golem earlier. And so those are two big kills. Like, that's a significant fraction of all the experience that he's earned the entire game just on those two monsters so far.
Ooh, and the exploration lead is extended for Nimanva, who has found Garenham.
So I guess that was somewhere in the northeast?
I'm not sure exactly how he got to it, to be honest. So
yeah, it's really hard to keep up with both players.
Well, all three search spots are now found, which means there is guaranteed to be something in Hawksness behind that red dragon. We also have a quest item here. He's deciding what to drop. So all three quest items in possession for Nimanva, and that means the sword or the armor will be in Hawksness.
And its partner will be in Charlock.
Is that right? Has every single chest been opened now?
I believe so.
Hey, we have coal now for Aaron, so let's get over there and grab that token. Not sure if there's any sort of shopping that he would be interested in here. Maybe he wants to look for a large shield at some point. But token for Aaron.
And Nim is walking all the way through the swamp cave, I think. And so is there something that Nim still hasn't found?
Yeah, it's quite possible that only one of our runners has seen, something.
I can't remember what he hasn't found, because it seemed like he was doing better overall in terms of exploration.
Maybe
but yeah,
one
at
of
this
the
point, I thought he
trading
checked
caves?
off everything.
I wonder if he never saw the Rainbow Drop Cave. One of them did, but he might still be looking for it.
But yeah, it looks like this continent's going to be small, and so he will discover that it's empty pretty quickly, hopefully. Well, there's some bridges.
Fortunately for him, though, Lorgon, like we said, there's what else can he even do right now? Because you can't beat the Red Dragon.
Right.
And, what are you going to do?
Maybe you'll find a good monster zone out here.
Right. It's kind of a weird situation. He's basically done with the seed, but you just can't make progress. Now, if he could take care of his trade-ins, I think that would be a good use of his time. Not sure if he's seen both trading caves. I keep feeling like that must be what he's looking for, one of the two trading caves.
Yeah, and I feel like he's seen both, because the harp trade-in I thought was pretty close to the southwest at the start, and I thought that they both discovered it. But maybe, that's the only thing I can think of that he might not have seen, so maybe that is what he's looking for. Or maybe he's actually just looking for a zone, because he feels like he hasn't seen anywhere good to grind.
Hey, here's a Droll Magi. Might want to stay here for a minute. Yeah, we're defense breaking the Droll Magi. Now it's mixed in. I think there was a Golem, right? Which you can.
Yeah, at least you have a flute, yeah. So it could be a viable zone. If there's one more decent monster in here, like the Wolf Lord was mixed in here, that could actually be a very good zone.
Aaron circles back around because he's out of MP already, so he was in coal 2 minutes ago. Now he's just back for the inn. And he is actually very close to level 12, so he has still hanging on to the Slate experience lead. And he has somewhat evened up the exploration lead with finding the token, but he does need to get over to Garanham for the last quest item.
It definitely feels like Nim is trying to look at all of the tiles on this continent, so I think the implication is there was something that he didn't see, and he's really trying to find everything. Meanwhile, on Aaron's screen, there's a little Sparkover Bridge island of a tile of swamp, a bridge, a tile of swamp. That's just the 3-tile island. That's adorable.
Yep. Was one of the trade-ins in the basement of the castle? Sometimes you forget what the basements...
No, Tantagel had Tablet Cave underneath it, which has had another cursed belt. The
right.
Jerk I have marked as somewhere to the east, and the Staff Cam was somewhere to the southwest of the start, is what I have written down in my notes.
Oh, maybe someone in chat that's been following Nimanva more closely, maybe he didn't find one of the dungeons. I'm just trying to think, what he hasn't actually found. It's certainly possible that there is something that he didn't check yet.
Right, but meanwhile, Aaron does also find Garanham, and so he'll get the harp and the rest of the disappointment out of the back, and at this point...
This is actually a big deal now, because... the exploration gap is closed, and he's got the experience lead. So if he knows where the trade-ins are, he can just go take care of the errands.
We'll get a lot of information, I think, if he goes directly to the swamp tile. I think that will carry the implication that he does think he's checked off all the locations on the list, and so the only reason to go into Swamp Cave at this point for Aaron would be to see if there's a grindable monster there. And so if he, goes and discovers a Stone Man and starts putting it to sleep to try to fight, I think that'll give us all information in terms of what's in Aaron's head right now.
11 more MP was gained, which is actually 2 additional heal mores on level 12. So some sort of a blue dragon grind or something. 70 hit points now, certainly on the table if if we have an Axe Knight or a Blue Dragon or something on this spike tile. Red Dragons are still pretty iffy. If there's a Golem available, it's like a lot depends on your sleep luck. Armor Knights are horrific right now in this seed. They got the sleep and the Dragon Lord Breath. So
and the Armored Knight is in Swamp Cave. However, Aaron is apparently trying to navigate down to the spike tile. And so we'll get a look at what that monster is going to be.
Can't tell if this is the spike tile here.
I believe it was. And so it is a Golem, and he has killed one before much earlier with not as much resources. And so I think he'll probably take a stab at one or two. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is crazy. I feel like Nimanva really was in the lead in this race, and all of a sudden now I think I would favor Aaron because he seems to know that he's just grinding. And Nimanva seems
it will be
to
an interesting
like...
question if we have interview time after the race or whatever to definitely ask Nim if he had checked off all the things or if there was something that he failed to see that we didn't notice.
Oh my goodness. So Aaron, I don't know if he maybe is intentionally just death warping here, but you have to realize that the Golem can have an absurd amount of hit points. You have the Flute. Anytime you have 1 hit point, you might as well put him to sleep first. And he had plenty to work with in terms of heal mores. Not sure what happened there. That was...
It might be that he's realized kind of just that he's checking everything off his list and decided he was going to go complete the homework, which is to turn in the harp and try to get the rainbow drop from the jerk. And maybe he wants to take a look at Charlotte because he thinks there's some better odds of finding something there rather than just continuing to grind the Golem.
He might think that he is ready now to take on the Red Dragon. And I think I misread the tracker there. I thought he had 70 max hit points, but it looks actually like he has 78 hit points. So now the Red Dragon is more on the table now. So maybe he realized, like, you know what? We don't want to waste time with this Golem. Let's go get that Red Dragon. And then we'll be just in.
I would want to pick up at least, like, I don't know, the large shield or something just really quick before I go after the Red Dragon, I think, because the Red Dragon is still biting for pretty hard, like more than half their hit points potentially, and it would give a little bit more buffer, and the large shield is something also that you'd want to carry into the end game.
Oh, for sure. I'm surprised that he doesn't have it yet. There is a town here he's popping into, and I think Breckenridge did have one, because this was the first place where the Copper Sword was, and then they couldn't afford the large shield. So we'll see if he ever checks his stats, if somehow he already has a
right, yeah,
shield,
that's the other thing I was thinking. Yeah, if I wonder if possibly we missed it in the tracking. But it's also possible that he just forgot about it when he ended up being forced to buy the small shield earlier when he didn't have quite enough money.
Yeah, it's easily something to forget, is that you never picked up the large shield. Now, is this the direction of Hawk's Nest? I feel like... So he took care of the first...
Hawks is almost kind of directly to the south, yeah, and so I think he is headed in that direction.
Yeah, and then the Rainbow Drop Cave is sort of vaguely in this direction, too. I think it's like southeast.
Yeah, yeah.
So
sorry, the Harp
Turn-In
Turn-In
Cave is in
Cave.
command.
He needs to do first. Oh, no, we already did it, right?
Yeah, just did that, and... Yeah, I mean, the only other 2 things to do now are the Rainbow Drop and Hawk's Nest, so... Let's see if he is heading towards one of those now. Interesting. If once you do get strong enough where you can reliably beat the Red Dragon, that becomes your grind as well. It's not terribly close to the town for in trips, but this is kind of the best you can do.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this point, any grind that can be potentially at all reliable, like even if you spend all of your magic, to like kill 2 or 3 of them, like is better than anything we've seen so far, and 255 experience is really worth it.
Look at how bad the attacks are right now, too. Like, does low double digits. Ugh, gross. Yeah, 43 damage from the Red Dragon. So, yeah, this is tough. I don't know. Do you go back there and try it again?
I think you got to get some armor and then try it again. I feel like he's right at the cusp of, if he can get the red to only bite him for like 37 on average, then you can probably get 2 shots in between a heal more kind of thing.
What's funny too, Lorgon, is like either of the equipments that will be there, like if you can beat the Red Dragon 1 time, the armor will help tremendously.
Good point. Yep.
And then if you get the sword, all of a sudden you're hitting the Red Dragon for 25 damage. So like either way,
So yeah, getting that first red kill is actually going to be the complete game changer. And so if somehow Nim can kind of pull things together and, you know, maybe get a lucky crit on the red dragon before Aaron gets a chance to get it, that's something that could completely swing the race once again.
And while that's happening, Nimanva is wandering all over the map. We're back up in the coal region now. He's desperately looking for something. And he's like doubled over the whole map, you know, a second time around.
Right. So yeah, that's definitely the top question that I want to ask him after the race.
He's already searched the spot. Oh boy. Yeah, so he's forgotten what's happened. He searched the spot earlier for the token.
I know you're one of the players who just tries to keep track of everything by memory other than the coordinates where you'll jot things down, and you just keep track of how many locations you've actually discovered so far. I wonder how many players use some kind of checklist. Like I see a number of people like take notes with things on screen, or obviously, you know, Ness draws a map on screen or different things.
Yeah, something just happened there where he double checked his inventory. Maybe he thought he still needed like the stones of sunlight or something that we found early on. And so now he just checks the search spot, and it's like, I don't know what just happened there. It'll be fun to ask him, because
but it does seem like, given the way that he looked at his inventory and all of a sudden is now just making a bolt for the cave, I think he just forgot that he'd already picked up the heart, I guess, in the harp in the back of Garenham, and now all of a sudden it came together in his head that, oh, I have all the things. It's time to get the homework done and settle into a grind.
Yep. So it's close again now, because who's going to beat that red dragon first and get the Erdrick's gear and
not get killed by armored knights that might be inside Sharlock? It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, remember, the armor could be in Sharlock, and it could be really nasty trying to, you know, dive in there without it. So a lot left to do here. Aaron does make his way to the Rainbow Drop Cave first, so he's a little bit ahead on the errand running. So he's purely grind and go now. He's got the Rainbow Drop in possession, and he knows, you know, where the one thing is that he needs, which is also going to be his grind. So.
And yeah, we'll see, hopefully momentarily, if Nim kind of discovers that he's in the same spot. And yeah, but it seems like this is going to be a place where we're potentially settling in.
So there's a comment in chat that the armor and the sword could be in Sharlock. We know from our perspective that's not the case, because we've seen all three cursed belts.
Correct.
So there has to be something in Hawksness, and the only things that it can be right now are the sword or the armor.
Yeah, we saw a cursed belt in Tanagel Treasury. We saw one underneath Tanagel in Free Stuff Cave, and there was a cursed belt in Tablet Cave. And so with all three cursed belts in chest, that means all three search locations have to have one of those 7 key items. But yeah, while we're at a spot where we're kind of settling in, this could be a good time to remind folks that we're just here starting off the first week of the summer tournament, and I think there's 3 more races tonight. I don't have the times just handy on me, but late this evening, if you want to watch more races, there's going to be a whole lot more. Try to get that information a little bit later in the race. But
I know there's one for sure there's one for sure at 8:30 Eastern on Randomania, because I'm doing commentary for that, so I know that one for sure. But yeah, I think there's like 4 more races. It's or maybe at least 3 more races. Good time to be a fan of Dragon Warrior Randomizer. There's going to be all sorts of stuff happening for a couple of months.
All right, so we're getting our first peek inside Sharlock, and at least one of the enemies is a werewolf, and it's not the best enemy, but it's definitely not the worst enemy that could appear here. I'm not sure what the best enemy is, honestly. Like, maybe a Star Wyvern with Star Stop spell that we haven't seen before would be a real gift from the heavens at this point. I'm not sure.
I just thought of this, Lorgon. This is an interesting situation. If someone wants to just dive Sharlock first, you know actually that one of the things has to be in here. So if he was like, well, I can't beat that red dragon right now, maybe I can get down to the
5 heal more, 78 HP, and not good armor. It's going to be tough to dive.
Yeah, not good MP for the barrier tiles.
It really, I guess, comes down to the red enemies, like the Armored Knight and the Red Dragon. If they don't appear in Sharlock, if the players happen to luck out in that regard, then it's probably get toable. But if either one of those is in any of the zones...
I agree. Yeah, it depends a lot on what's in the zones. Nimanva's got a realistic chance of winning this fight here. He is using heal more appropriately. He's not getting high rolled so far by the Red Dragon, so he's healed up a couple of times. He only has the hand axe, so he's dealing Minimal damage here, but if you can manage 7 or 8 attacks, it should be enough to get the red dragon, unless it shows up with some kind of a heal spell. But yeah, he's got a good chance here.
Meanwhile, I think Aaron just got level 13, and some of the stats look decent. I didn't get a good look at all of them, but unfortunately, Hurtmore has not shown up. But I think the rest of the spells did pop in.
Ooh, so he went and tried to swing there with fairly low HP, probably was counting damage, and felt like he actually needed the extra swing.
He was down to 7 magic points, I think, on that Star Wyvern, and so he didn't have...
I thought he had 9. Oh, I was looking at the Red Dragon fight.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
He had 9 MP, and he took a swing there with 33 hit points. He was, I would assume, maybe counting damage that he had done, and maybe decided he needed the extra swing there to have a good chance to beat the Red Dragon. They can
it'd be really interesting to see if Nim ends up trying to pick up the broadsword, or if Aaron ends up trying to pick a large shield before they go back to the Red Dragon. And it does look like level 13, it gave another 6 attack power. Actually, Aaron's going to be dealing a little bit more damage to the Red Dragon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, his strategy was just to get another level. So that's I think he's completely forgotten about the large shield, unless he takes a northern turn right here in Breckenary. But no. Yeah, he's just going with the small shield.
And so yeah, given what we just saw out of him, then he should have a realistic chance.
Yeah.
Because with 95 HP, yeah, now all of a sudden the Red Dragon becomes very doable.
Oh, the hit points. Yeah, that's very important. Yep. Okay, so back to Hawksness. Aaron is probably going to win that fight now. And Nimanva, where is he going?
Oh, right, Nimanva's never been to the bottom of the grave.
He got the
died both times, right?
He got the 4th chest, but he didn't get to the 5th chest.
Yeah, he never got down to that final herb.
Oh.
I was kind of hoping that was going to get orphaned earlier. And the monsters down here, not super great either, and so this is going to cost him time, and he's not going to get a ton of...
I'm trying to figure out if he should know... Well, no, you know what? Because
one's in Charlock, it could be down here as well. Yeah.
But if you've seen all 3 cursed belts, you would know that there's something in Hawksness. But since you need both items, yeah, you sort of have to make this check.
From his informational perspective, it's a perfectly reasonable play. And so it's just not going to work out in his favor.
Meanwhile, Aaron is extending the experience lead while also being in grind and go. He's getting hit very hard by this Red Dragon because of the lack of armor here, 54 defense.
But he dealt a 20, whereas Nim, I think, was sometimes dealing single digits, and so that's a huge damage output range, and obviously with the more hit points, he should be able to take this down unless it comes up with a surprise heal more at the end.
Yep, the hit points is making a huge difference here, so just like a Dragon Lord fight, just heal up every chance you get, and let's see if the Red Dragon unleashes the heal more spell or something, but no, down it goes, and we're going to get something good here.
Alright, well, Nim at least did discover the herb in the bottom of Garen's tomb, so that can be off of his mind. And did I just see a sword pickup?
Yeah, so the good news is that the Red Dragon grind is going to go a lot more smoothly now with the sword in hand. Of course, I say that and he takes a death. But now you're doing good damage against the Red Dragon. You can settle into an actual grind there. The bad news now is, again, if there are armored knights in Charlock, that dive is going to be nasty with no armor. And Nimanva also seems to have gotten sniped out of the grave, right? He didn't make it?
He made it down to the last chest before he died, so he at least has that information now. So now we won't be looking in there anymore, so he'll probably either try to grind or go back and take another stab at Hawksness.
That was a pretty quick dive then, if he made it to the bottom. I guess with Repel, working in dungeons, at this stage of the game, you're getting through there pretty quick.
Aaron just picked up a gold chest, which brought him over 800, so I think perhaps he does realize he doesn't have the large shield, and maybe he's about to go buy it. Or...
yeah, outside doesn't work in these locations, kind of strangely enough. But those, the lit up caves are considered to be part of the overworld.
But do you think he's going to grind 7700 and go for the magic armor, and that'll allow him to die Charlock?
That could be a plan. So magic armor reduces hurt more damage, but it does not reduce Dragon Lord breath damage.
But it also heals 1 hit point for every 4 steps, and they
Mhm.
do only have 51 magic point right now, Aaron at level 13, and so having a little bit of extra healing to help deal, especially with those tiles you have to walk on the first floor, which are going to whittle down your hit points a lot.
This has been an interesting race, Lorgon. There's so much stuff happening here. The stuff that they're like deciding to do because the stats have been so bad, and because like, you know, this situation now with the armor and Charlock, like, yeah. So wait, he didn't get 7,700. Maybe he's just getting full plate money.
Yeah,
What's
full
going
plate
on?
also would be a significant armor upgrade, and I wonder if we're going to see a stat screen and actually get a chance to see if perhaps he did get the large shield and we just missed it along the way.
Well, full plate pickup, I kind of feel like now he's just going back to the Red Dragon. Just like he doesn't want to get like just wrecked by Red Dragons during the grind. Maybe that was, but now he's going to Charlock. What do I know? Let's go for the armor dive. Try and pull the armor out of here early so that you
I'm
have it
kind
for
of
your final
surprised
dive.
though. Like I guess
Or
the
he's
magic
just lucking
armor.
around.
I mean, it's not really an upgrade in terms of defense points, but I feel like if you're going to spend, I don't know, 2 minutes shopping for the full plate, I'd spend the 4 minutes and shop for the magic armor at this point. But again, it's a weird seed with weird stats and a really potentially crushingly tough end game. So we're just going to see.
I actually kind of like the idea of going down here just so that you can get a read on what's in these zones too.
That's
Like, it's
true.
really
The
important to know
recon,
if there's an armored knight in here.
the recon itself is actually super valuable information.
Oh, but he's going the other way. I don't know what's going on. You are going to take a ton of damage on these barrier tiles, but yeah, I don't know what's interesting. I don't know. Just looking for a grind, I guess. Doesn't like the Red Dragon grind right now. I think the Red Dragon grind is the best. And sword pickup for Nimanva, so anything can still happen here. It's amazing.
Agreed.
Is Nimanva going to just go for the Red Dragon grind now after he gets a refill, or...
Nimanva does feel like he's in a spot where he's playing catch up, but at this point, now that he's picked up the sword, he's got potentially the shield advantage, and it really is going to come down to what the runners see in Charlock and whether or not one of them is going to have the luck that they need to get down to the armor. Or decide to commit to the Red Dragon grind, although it's much more difficult for Nimanva to try to do that right now when he's still at level 12 with only the 78 hit points.
Alright, so while we're sort of grinding here, and interrupt me if something exciting happens, but I'll just mention the quick bios that the runners have submitted. Aaron has kind of an amusing story where the first time he ever played Dragon Warrior, he was just in a Walmart where, you know, they have those kiosks where sometimes they'll set up a console that you can kind of demo games. And so somehow he ended up playing some Dragon Warrior like in a Walmart when he was a kid on a demo system. And then eventually, much later on, you know, in his adult life, he finally beat the game or whatever. So that's kind of an interesting introduction to RPG.
He really wanted to play Faxanadu.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like, oh, well, what is this? This doesn't look like Faxanadu. And then, hey, sometimes that's how you get hooked on RPGs. Whereas Nimanva just says that he is just an overall big fan of role-playing in general, plays tabletop role-playing games as well as all manner of RPGs on the video gaming world here. So fun. It's always fun to know how people got involved in Dragon Warrior in general, RPGs, just all that. So amusing. But there you go. A little bit of more info about our runners as they're grinding up for endgame stats here. Indeed.
And so we can obviously see what Aaron is up to. I'm not sure what Nim is currently trying to do. I guess he still needs to pick up the rainbow drop, so that's where he's going back to take the walk to the jerk, I suppose.
Aaron's really close to level 14. And he would need pretty substantial gains for 14 to be any kind of go time because the MP is just so terrible.
What would he need to feel more confident in a Sharlock dive is what I'm wondering. I guess more
like
magic?
To just dive for the armor?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like magic is the main thing. Agility obviously will potentially help. And instead he gets that level, which isn't bad.
It seems like what's been happening is he is kind of entering Sharlock, maybe thinking about diving, but then just in the process of grinding monsters, he just runs out of MP so quickly that he's just turning around and like, well, I'm not going to get there on this dive. So I don't know.
It's from his perspective, now at level 14, I guess Hurt More is potentially a changer in terms of being able to take out the Armored Knights rather than having to run from them if you're willing to spend the magic during a dive just to try to get the armor. But at the same point, I feel like grinding the Red Dragon is not a bad strategy now, just to like pick up some more levels and stats.
Yeah, especially, I mean, they both picked up the sword out of the search spot. I feel like that makes the Red Dragon grind really good now. Nimanva finally picks up the Rainbow Drop, the last bit of homework there. So we are just grinding now. And Aaron has about a 1 level advantage. This is approximately like a 3 or 4 minute lead in terms of but who knows what's with failed dives.
And now Nim, if Nim decides to head straight to Hawksness and start working on the Red Dragon because it just crossed the threshold to where that's a potentially grindable enemy, it could be the case that he could pick up on experience relative to Aaron pretty quickly if he manages to keep that grind going for a bit.
Here's another question. I'll kind of pose this to you, Lorgan. Is it situational, or what situation would you consider just grinding and attempting a single dive at the end, or when is it better to just go in early and get the armor out of there so that you have it for your final dive?
One of the things that makes waiting until the end to try to do it all in one dive unattractive is the fact that we know that the Armored Knight has the Wombo combo, the Sweep, and the Dragon Lord 2 Breath. And so not having done the recon to know if you're going to be encountering that enemy can really change the calculus of when it's going to be the right time to try the dive. So that's one of the things that makes me want to dive for the armor earlier, just to get that recon information at the same time.
Yep, I like that.
That's the main thing that I think comes into play for me. Obviously, there's different things with the stats that can kind of favor one versus the other. Ideally, like if you're just playing strong enough and just need to pick up the armor, then you want to do that. But if you're also potentially, going to pick up the last level for a tiny bit more strength while you're diving down, then you want to make sure you already have plenty of MP, which we also don't have here. So the fact that the MP is low also kind of makes potentially 2 dives look a little bit more favorable to me.
And we have Aaron approaching Sharlock again, although this time he gets put to sleep by the Armored Knight on the way in. We have Nimanva. I thought he was going with the Red Dragon grind, but he is also now peeking into Sharlock. Level 13, now we have 51 MP to work with.
Brian Williams makes a good point in the chat that the armor isn't going to really help a whole lot with the grind if you're planning on grinding any Red Dragons, since they don't have any kind of breath that you need to deal with. And so in that regard, getting the armor earlier isn't necessarily all that valuable.
Yeah, interesting. I think that it's just yet another tricky decision that they're going to have to make, and they're both seemingly going into Sharlock and avoiding the Red Dragon grind right now.
I'm surprised. Like, the Red Dragon it's not quite super tasty yet because it's still going to run them out of, HP and MP pretty quickly, and they're going to have to constantly go back to an inn or accidentally take a death somewhere along the way. But they obviously need levels,
Aaron,
and that seems like the best way to get the levels.
131 attack power. Like, you should be 3-shotting Red Dragons right now with 131. That's no joke. He's got green stats for strength. So I think the Red Dragon would go pretty quickly for him.
Another final bit of the calculus that we haven't talked about. I guess no one's picked up a Fighter's Ring, which means there is a Fighter's Ring in addition to the armor down in Sharlock, which would give you another 2 attack power. And that could help with the grind in a very minor way. But that's just something I noticed, so I just wanted to call it out.
All right, well, Aaron has made it off they both made it off the first floor. This is still
Right.
actually the first zone, so they'll see the same mix of enemies until they get to the next stairway.
And yeah, this will be another question to ask both runners toward the end, is basically once they got up to level 13, 14, what they were thinking about in terms of grind versus dive.
Aaron using some hurt more strats in between, and taking a slight risk there that the Star Wyvern could dodge the follow-up attack, but now he's just going to heal after battle. It's a little tricky now. He's down to low 20s for MP. It is not going to be easy to get down there. You might have to run from a bunch of monsters if you're going to make it to the bottom here.
With 65 agility, other than the Red Dragon and the Armored Knight, I guess you're a pretty good favorite to run from everybody else who's in here. I'm really surprised that Nim would choose not to blow the Fairy's Flute before trying to run from the Golem, because this is kind of a low odds dive already, and so not taking the safety play, spending the extra 8 seconds or whatever to listen to the flute music, it seems like that's just what you got to do.
Yeah, I have found recently more and more reasons to actually use the flute in Charlock. Like, you just don't want to be taking 40 damage when it just swings at you in a lot of situations when things are borderline. So
but yeah, you can also, Nim obviously spent a bit of time combing the overworld that he feels like he probably lost some time, and so he might feel like he's behind, and so now is in a rush, and so possibly contributing to decision making.
So the second zone here is coming to an end for Nimanva. Oh, there is an Armored Knight in here somewhere. Which zone is this? I think Aaron's still in the middle zone. Oh boy.
Middle zone is shorter than the others. You definitely don't want to see the AK anywhere here in Charlock, but at least the middle zone, if you had to see it in one of the 3, that would be the place that you'd want to. But it's also on the bottom floor, as we see Nim run into an Armored Knight in the bottom section, it looks like.
Oh, did he make it down that stairway before seeing this monster?
He's down into the U-shaped room, and so that
Good
pretty
intel for
much
later.
means we could be here for a while, and so if you had some popcorn that you wanted to put on, now would be a good time.
Yeah, that is very good intel for later for Nimanva. Again, like you said, maybe to me, I would probably go back to the Red Dragon and plan on grinding an extra level there. But it looks like he wants that armor now, so he's going back to Charlock.
And yeah, Chad is also pointing out that neither of the runners has tried to stop spell an Armored Knight yet to see if you can possibly block the sleep spell. But yeah, I think at this point, settling into a Red Dragon grind and seeing what's going to happen with the stats to where you're getting close to go time.
Yeah, that's tricky because just from the sample that we've had, my guess would be that, I mean, I don't know if we want the tracker to pull this up, but my guess is that sleep is only at 25% and the DL2 breath is 50%, which means like you want to waste a turn casting stop spell, which may or may not work, and then you just get hit with the DL2 breath anyways.
Right.
Instead of sleep.
If you happen to encounter one randomly on the overworld, like while you're just trying to walk from place to place, or possibly in Hawk's Nest while you're grinding.
Wrong. Wow, it's completely the other way around. Okay. Well, shows you how much I've been paying attention. I feel like I've seen the DL2 breath from the Armor Knight a lot, but it's the opposite. So 50% sleep, 25 DL2 breath, thanks to our tracker for that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's difficult and somewhat frustrating in terms of how you choose to play this game, is because you often get such small sample size in order to try to hone in on some of these details about the monsters in terms of what capabilities they have and what the odds are that they're going to use them. Stop spell resistance is another one that it often just doesn't pay to try to get all that information and determine what the monsters have, and instead just make an absolute decision of I'm either going to fight this monster or I'm going to try to run from it.
Oh, and I didn't even look at that part of the stats, but our chat has noted that it has 0 resistance to stop spell, which would be pretty fortunate if you started using that strategy, because at least you're not getting put to sleep. So even if you took a Dragon Lord breath attack, you get a chance to run away every turn. Interesting. Nimanva has gone on a journey here. Where is he going? Does he get back? Is this back at Hawksness now? No.
I don't have a good answer unless there was something in the shop that he
Wants
wants
to buy some
over
herbs.
here.
Maybe didn't have herbs for the dive. Maybe
He
wants a
did
different
look at
grind.
the golem spike. No, he didn't look at the golem spike tile, I think. It was Aaron who saw the golem. I don't think Nim ever checked the spike tile in the swamp. That said, I don't know that I can imagine a monster better than the red dragon right now, honestly.
The red dragon grind is so good when you have high attack power. I don't know. I don't understand this, but yeah, you know, the good thing with a golem, if you do want to risk using flute strats, is that sometimes you get lucky enough where you never have to go back to an inn. You're just like beating golem after golem. They're just
And I
staying asleep for
suppose
you.
he also doesn't know when Hurtmore is coming, and so he could imagine that there's an Axe Knight here or something, and thinking that
Right.
that might be a potential tasty enemy.
Well, Aaron is back in Charlock. Can't tell yet if he's just grinding monsters. Looks like that's his grind right now. He likes the combo of monsters on the top floor here. There are Axe Knights and Werewolves, Hurtmoreable monsters. So he feels like this is a better situation than the Red Dragon.
Yeah, it's definitely, while I'm not sure that it actually is better than the Red Dragon, having Hurtmore now and having this monster set does make this top 4 turn into a pretty reasonable grind. I think he's going to be making continual progress. And so if one of these levels comes in with like a big stat upgrade that he needs, this could end up working out reasonably well for him reasonably quickly.
Yeah, he's up to level 15 already. And note that now we're getting reasonably close to a Death Necklace situation, although this is one of those funny spots where we're already pretty strong, so the Death Necklace isn't going to help too tremendously, as opposed to maybe just not using it and counting on double attacks. But mainly we are going to want some more MP. But it's actually getting pretty close, so a boost in sort of all the stats, so we might have a level 16 go time.
And chat was asking how far Hawks was from an inn. It was only about a screen away, I think, from the nearest town. Maybe just a little bit more than that. And so you do also have to walk in Hawk's Nest to the tile. There's armored knights in that Hawk's Nest zone. So that is another possible thing, which could be a little bit of a deterrent in terms of grinding the Red Dragon and Hawk's Nest. But
Yeah,
it seems
good
like
point.
most of the chat is in agreement still that Hawk's Nest and the Red Dragon would be faster, ideally.
Yeah, good point about the armored knights in that, on that walk there. Not sure if I've noticed 5 different monsters in here. There's definitely blue dragons, axe knights, and werewolves. I don't think there are red dragons or armored knights on the top zone.
Yeah, I think we've seen enough monsters that there definitely isn't one of those red monsters up here up top. I can't remember if we've seen a golem possibly on this floor as well.
And so Nimanva has settled into a golem grind here, where you have to, and he is using flute strats, and he would have to walk back through the south entrance, I believe, to get back to the inn in Garenham, which is a longer trip than you would think. Sometimes you think, well, the spike tile is just right in the basement.
I think Garen was actually at the north end. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, if that's the case, then you could save a little bit by casting outside at the end of your grind and getting back to the inn.
Yeah,
but still, it's a pretty similar walk probably than the Hawk's Nest walk, even though it seems like it wouldn't be. It's a lot of steps to get back to the inn from here.
Yeah, and doesn't necessarily make up for it, but the fact that Charlock is relatively close to the start is also one of the things that is contributing to Aaron's grind not being too much slower than the grind tile that Nim has chosen right now.
Oh, we are just grinding and going here. It's about a 3,000 to 3,500 point lead now for Aaron, which works out to about a 7 or 8 minute lead in most cases, which is still within the realm of one failed dive. And we know that there are armored knights in the bottom and the middle zones.
So yeah,
they
I
both
agree.
don't have
it's
the
still
armor
potentially
yet.
Anyone's race.
Yeah. And we're looking at a longer seed now because of just kind of the slog that we went through in the middle portions, an hour and 37 minutes in. The armor is still not acquired. We're still not at go time stats. So if either runner manages to sub 2 hour the seed, it would probably be an accomplishment at this point.
Ironically, it looks like... Oh no! The spell had no effect. Aaron was trying to hurt more the Armored Knight. He got one of them off. The second one didn't go off. Armored Knight puts him to sleep, but then he finally manages to finish him off. And I was starting out to say, ironically, that's going to be the thing that gets him the level.
That is just... there's so many things that can happen in this game that make you want to just punch your monitor and just throw it out the window. It's when you miss a vital hurt more against an Armored Knight, that's one of those things. 1 in 16 chance to miss on any hurt more that you throw out there. And now he did not heal himself, so he gets put down by a blue dragon.
I wonder, he had that stat screen up for a while to look at the stats. I wonder if he finally noticed the defense power in the small shield, and if that's going to cause him to realize that even if the rest of his stats become Dragon Lord capable, like, he's still in a place where the Dragon Lord could could bite him for like 53 or something, I think, right now. And so that's potentially a problem a hole that he still needs to plug up. Oh, we did buy the large shield? I missed it. In that case, the defense power would go up to 72 for Aaron, I guess.
Nope, you just flashed it there, and I missed it again.
Oh, and then, of course, the armor is going to add another... Is it 4?
Yeah, 4 more for the armor, because he has full plate.
So it's still not super great defense, but now we're definitely in the realm of becoming Dragon Lord eligible, and the magic points are kind of the main worry in terms of what you're going to spend on the Raydown.
He did pick up some magic, so is he diving for game now? Well, unfortunately, you're going to be spending resources with these barrier tiles. So I guess he's probably going to go to 17, but let me think now. You have 9 heal mores to work with.
I don't know that he got the recon that there is an Armored Knight in the bottom section, because I don't remember if he got that far. So this could be both Armored dive and recon about what's on the bottom floor, and he hasn't made a decision about whether it's dive time yet, and he's just going for the armor potentially.
Okay. So I'm seeing him, he has like 125 HP. What? Oh, it's my view of the tracker. I keep misreading it. Okay, so he's got 130, right? So you could use the death necklace if you wanted. It would put you up to 145 attack power. And that would be enough. Like, if you could get down there, if you already had the armor, let's say.
It's a risky death necklace again, because the Dragon Lord, it's still not very probable, but the Dragon Lord could still bite for more than 48.
Yes, that's true. Also, there's an option to not use it and look for double attacks with 135 attack power. You're looking at doing 8 to 17 damage, and it would be a little dicey with only 9 heal mores, but probably doable.
It feels like it's kind of similar odds, I feel like, of defeating the Dragon Lord, both with and without the Death Necklace at the level 16 stats, assuming
Either
that you have the armor.
He's not doing it on this dive, so this is an armor dive.
Right, he is definitely choosing to spend his heal mores and spend his resources just to make sure that he gets down there and gets his hand on those armor. Oh, and he's finally trying a stop spell, and it works.
Yeah, that could be a pretty big deal. That's one of those things on your final dive. Maybe if you have a few extra, you just use stop spell and then just try and keep running away and hope that he spams sleep while he's blocked, Just get some free turns to try to run away. So it's an option. Now he has some information that it lands most of the time. He's going to use it again, so, yep. Nice play here. Of course, he gets the L2 breath this time.
So it feels like, given all the information that Aaron has at this point, both in terms of using stop spells to counter the Armored Knight, as well as the advantage that he already has in experience, it feels like, unless he gets unlucky during his dive, or the stats are kind of like his borderline, as it seems like they might be, he's got a good chance of winning the race if things go his way.
Yeah, by the way, we should probably mention to the chat that this exact scenario has been nerfed substantially in the very latest release of the randomizer that we're all using for the tournament, in that Both the Sleep and the Dragon Lord abilities can only be a maximum of 50% usage instead of the old way of 75% possibility.
That's an excellent point.
And
I'd completely forgotten about
the
that new
stop
update.
spell resistance has been lowered as well. So Armored Knights now, I think the max is 9 out of 16 that it could have instead of like 11 or 12 out of 16. So in a couple of different ways, this exact scenario has been made slightly easier, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we can see the problem that it's caused both rudders when they both died to Armored Knights on previous dives. But yeah, when it's maxing out at 50 rather than 75% and maxing out at, about a coin flip on a stop spell rather than maybe a 2 out of 3, that definitely helps the runner's odds of having some way to cope with this contingency.
Man, he is seeing an awful lot of Armored Knights on this dive too, and the resources are dwindling. I think he's now in the bottom zone, correct? So Sleep Spell is blocked here, and he's fighting his way through now, just assuming that he's going to get the sleep spam, and he does this time. I guess he's not really thrilled about trying to run away with 72 agility, which is, you're definitely a clear underdog to run each time.
And he might be thinking about getting that level. It's only 12,000 for the next experience level, and he's already like a quarter of the way there. And so definitely it feels like level 16, while it might be borderline, level 17 is extremely likely to be good enough to have favorable odds to dive and win, assuming you have the armor. So we'll see if he can make it all the way into the treasury. And let's see if he gets the armors first, let's see if he's thinking about the fighter's ring and keeps opening chests until he gets that drop as well.
Yeah, good point. That could steer the numbers a little more in his favor for a level 16 dive, getting 2 more attack power from the fighter's ring. So Green Dragons have the sleep spell as well. I'm not even sure if we knew that yet.
Yeah, I can't remember that we'd seen that before, so that's a bad surprise to get right at this moment in time.
So uses his last heal more and is put to sleep again. He decides to just go for the crit, and he gets the Green Dragon. You have some options there. You're a big favorite to run from Green Dragons. You also could try a hurt more,
feel like
which
he definitely
doesn't always one-shot
is potentially banking on the level. Oh, and he does continue opening the chest after getting the armor, and he picks up the fighter's ring. Okay. He's in really good shape now.
All right, time for a very fast death warp. So we're going to just spam the stop spell. Wait, no. I'm not sure what's happening.
I think he still wants the level, maybe.
Okay.
It's another question we can ask him, basically, while he was doing this dive for the armor. Was he thinking 16 was possibly it, or was he planning on going to 17 regardless?
Sometimes if you want to skip your turn and you no longer have a fighter's ring or a dragon scale, which of course he has a fighter's ring, but if you didn't, one option is to just spam stop spell on an enemy that just doesn't have any spells, and just wait for the death warp that way. Yeah, he's just taking fights and maybe is thinking level 17 on the way down on the next dive.
That's what I would be, yeah. If I were sitting here with 11,000 and only needed 1,000 more experience, yeah, I would just pick up a few more kills and then get the rest of it on the way down.
Yeah, having a little bit of extra MP to like throw the stop spells out also on the way down on the next dive.
Ooh, that's a good point. Even like 6 MP would be potentially game-changing in terms of the dive.
It's going to continue all the way towards the spike tile in case he just doesn't take a death. Well, we see red dragons in the bottom zone as well, Oregon. I don't think we've seen this the whole time. So both red enemies are down here. Oh boy. Yeah, might want that extra level. So getting 17 on the way down seems like a reasonable plan now.
But I wonder, he's 3 red dragons, I guess a little bit more than that, from just picking up the level. Like, if he wants the extra magic points, I mean, we don't know if it's going to come up with 1 magic point or 30 magic points in the next level, but...
Nimanva was over there on that golem grind and only needed 1 more for a level and doesn't manage to get it. So he's in that weird spot where he just
he'll run into an armored knight outside of Sharlock before he even has a chance to make the decision, I expect.
Getting trolled right now and finding ghosts and scorpions. The
But yeah,
Nate might
meanwhile,
be
Aaron
enough.
is outside of Charlock, and he just ran into a blue dragon. And so there's definitely some tasty enemies out here right on Charlock's front
Oh,
door.
geez. So Aaron's not even going to try and go in and get it on the way. He's just
I
kind
think
of
he's going to take
grinding.
an in trip if the magic points come up with anything reasonable. Like even 4 magic points, I think, might be worth the in trip at this point. Even
I think I would rather just get this on the way here. He's, I don't know.
it's tough, and it also kind of like factors in: do you feel ahead? Do you feel behind? Both of these runners, I think Nim has more of a reason to feel behind, given all the extra exploration that he did.
Yeah.
But at this
The
point in a
top
race, you
zone
always feel
is
behind.
pretty friendly. It's just that he's not defense breaking any of the enemies. So, yeah, for now he's trying not to use magic, but he's also not walking down, which I always like to walk down. You can always outside back out.
Chat is suggesting he might not be filled up on herbs anyway. If he knows that he's going to necessarily take an in trip and also buy herbs, then I'd start heading to town right now rather than try to kill this last monster, but it's not going to take very long to get that final level.
Well, we're about to get some info right here. Level 17. So yeah, not much more attack power, but now you have a bunch of HP.
That makes,
Death Necklace.
yeah, I was going to say that makes the Dragon Lord is no longer an issue, and the HP are also going to be a huge buffer in terms of the walk down, in terms of mitigating some risk. So now he's a huge favorite, I feel like, to win on the next dive. He just has to get his stuff together.
I always hate this walk to the Breckenary item shop. I feel like it's so long, but that might just be my problem. I don't know. But he's just going to make sure he gets all his herbs now. Just, you never know what could go wrong. He knows the zones are pretty nasty. Gets a torch.
This is one of the things that I always like to think about when you're in this situation is if I get down to the bottom floor of Charlock, if I run into some reds or armored knights and they take me down to like 100 hit points, rather than heal back up, I think at that point I just put the death necklace on and plan to fight through them the rest of the way, and so possibly put on the death necklace before reaching the spike tile in Charlock rather than waiting to put it on for the Dragon Lord fight.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. Right now, I don't think he's going to be fighting anything on the way down, right? Unless he wants to fight the armored knights anyways.
I think it's only that situation of if he's already made it to the bottom and he's starting to get low on hit points, that's a place where putting on the death necklace, fighting through could potentially be an insurance play of just making sure you don't have too many run fails.
Yeah, still 72 agility, so we're still kind of an underdog to run from armored knights. We have 85 MP to work with in case he wants to use some stop spells against armored knights on the way through. He could potentially, use 5 or 6 of those, burn 1 heal more, and still have plenty to work with here. So yeah, he's in a good spot.
He's got the extra magic points that he can use for healing and for stop spells. And if you put on the death necklace, like if you made it down to the bottom floor and you just wanted to make sure you're absolutely going to get there without too much more AK or red problems, like he'd probably be potentially two-shotting both of those enemies.
Yeah, he'd be down to 120 hit points even after using the death necklace, which is a nice position
to be in. That's pretty great.
And he can still get physicaled by Dragon Lord for 51, but usually he won't be in that situation when you have all this extra HP. But just something to be aware of. I think that with the current stats, he's, if he didn't have to burn too much on the way down, he's favored to beat the Dragon Lord now with 2 or 3 heal mores to spare. So he shouldn't hesitate to burn one if it's like a really bad situation. Gets, ambushed and put to sleep by an armored knight or something.
The ambush sleep is the main thing, that could still get him by surprise. That's the main thing that's keeping Nim in the race, I think, right now. And the spike tile itself, if that were an armored knight, I guess he knows that he can stop spell them, so assuming that he gets first attack, he should be in okay shape.
Yeah. Assuming the first attack, that's always you never know. And Nim is also in looking to probably go for the armor on this dive here. Level 16 right now, but without the armor. It's really unlikely to have a single dive success here. Whereas Aaron is just about onto the bottom floor, where there are armor knights and red dragons in this zone.
And green dragons would also have sleep. That said, it's going to be very hard to die to a green dragon. Even if
he just goes for run
strats
strats on the armor knight straight away, not using stop spell here, just hoping to run away.
He's got the extra MP. It just seems like such a good insurance play just to stop spell it at the outset.
Yeah, you never know if stop spell is 100%. Of course, we know it
That's
here.
True.
And now he gets
That's
put
true.
to sleep because the run chances are less than 50-50. This is gross. So there we go. There's our failed dive. And Nim still does have to grab this armor, but it's become a lot closer now. And Aaron has to just be throwing his hands up like, wow, how is my opponent not finished? I must be way behind. But yet he still has the lead.
I think something that happens to everybody in this kind of situation, when there's a bad Charlock monster, anything can happen, and you have to know that as a runner. And so feeling behind, like,
Nim is going
all the
upstairs.
bad luck that you've had could have been bad luck that the other player is having as well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you have to remind yourself that you're both going through it.
Nim going upstairs is probably I'm playing from behind. All I can imagine is that the armor was in the vanilla spot in Charlock rather than being in one of the treasury chests, and that's the reason my opponent hasn't finished yet.
The other interesting thing about getting the top chest first here is if you don't make it down,
single dive.
You could try a single dive, yeah.
Yep.
Go back to the red dragon, get an extra level. Hope it's enough for a single dive.
That is a good point as well. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Aaron's strategy changes. That's another thing I want to ask him basically at the end, because I think he cast Stop Spell 3 times or possibly 4 times, and it landed all 4 times. And so he has to have some confidence that he would be able to land it again. Yep. And he's got the extra magic, so it'll be interesting to see the change of strategy.
You really don't want to burn magic on the dive, but sometimes, like, that's the whole reason for getting this extra level, right? He's on 17 instead of 16. He's got some extra. Yeah,
I mean, the chart, like the attack power and the hit points, making the Death Necklace absolutely, in play with 148 versus the Dragon Lord. Like, you do not need that many heal wars, and so he's got a lot of extra magic to spend.
Well, into the middle zones for Aaron, where the Armored Knights are lurking. Almost. He's almost at the middle zone, right? Yeah, I guess still on the top zone here for a few more steps. And once he gets to the middle zone, the Armored Knights will be in there. And we'll see how he handles it the next time he finds one. Nim's on the bottom now, finds a red dragon, and is fighting for more points. So it looks like a similar situation to what Aaron was thinking, is Nim wants 17, kind of while doing this armor dive. Like, maybe it will
I think the way that Nim has been playing, it also just might be that Nim's not sure that he can successfully run, and he's like, I'm willing to take 2 or 3 bites from the red dragon just to make sure I continue this armor dive.
Yeah, I like that in a high attack power seed like this, and, agility's not great. And he still has enough MP, the treasury's just right there. So, burning a couple of heal mores in these fights, totally reasonable. And here's the Armored Knight for Aaron. So what happens now? He is not stop spelled, and he has now been put to sleep again.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice.
There's the DL2 breath, and he's going to burn a heal more, which is fine. But he's now going to get put to sleep again, so yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, he did get the information that the stop spell was pretty good, but not using it here on the dive.
And it feels like it's costing him both time and resources. If he just spent the 2 magic points up front, took 2 or possibly 3 swings against the Armored Knight, and, maybe use an herb after the battle or whatever.
Nim is in a rough spot here.
Resources.
Nim's just put to sleep. He is just still hasn't made it to the armor. That is devastating. Oh, he had a lot of resources just a few steps ago.
Yep.
But, maybe should have just double hurt more the Armored Knight there or something. I didn't catch the whole fight.
And once again, this is just, both players feel like they're behind right now, and it's because both players are running into exactly the same thing. When you have this wombo combo Charlock enemy that you can't reliably run from, this is a thing that can happen. And it seems like they're probably, 1 or 2 out of 5 on both the middle and bottom floors. So
Advantage still to Aaron, though, just because Nim didn't quite get the armor. If he had pulled the armor out, this could be a really close race here, assuming Aaron, is not successful in this dive. But he's getting close to the spike here. Pretty good walk through the bottom zone. He's got 9 heal mores to work with.
If it does turn out to be an Armored Knight, I bet you he does stop spell it on the tile since he knows he has to fight it rather than run from it. But it's a red.
Yeah, should be okay to get through this fight without having to heal during the fight. Might want to use some herbs after the fight or something.
But yeah, then at this point, if he can walk another 7 steps, then he's a huge favorite to win this race.
Yep. All right, we'll see Death Necklace or no Death Necklace. Either way, he should be victorious here. He's got a regular heal to burn during Dale 1 if he wants to do that. And Death Necklace right away, so here we go. He is now cursed. If he fails this fight, he will be ejected from the castle without being healed. But he gains 10 attack power in the process, sacrificing about 40 hit points in this case. So 148 attack power going into the DL2 phase with good hit points, 9 heal mores.
Yeah, he's really going to be hitting for 12 to 24. We're going to see this Dragon Lord go down quick. And I think my stream is a little bit lagged behind, and so I'm not going to bother trying to count out the Dragon Lord fight. Cool. Dragon Lord 1 ended up lasting a few more rounds than I kind of expected, but now that he's got the Death Necklace attack power, Dragon Lord 2 should be straightforward, averaging like 18 to hit.
Yeah, and what's nice is he probably will never be in that situation where he has like 49 or 50, unless he had gotten a double attack or something, and then has a decision there. He can still get hit for 51 theoretically, although that would be uncommon. 49 or 50 though, it's certainly possible. Healing on 47 very wisely here, so he's way ahead.
One thing I'm finding in terms of just the way the stat variability has changed in this version of the randomizer, given that there's kind of so much more variability, even if it tends to kind of rubber band by like level 16 or 17, I am not used to seeing seeds where you have 160, or last night there was 173 HP before the Death Necklace, or the crazy attack power stats that we're sometimes seeing. And so I have a chart that tells me, like, given this attack power, you need this many heal mores against the Dragon Lord, and I need to update that chart to have a wider range.
I do as well, yeah. I don't think 148 is not even on my chart either, so it's funny because, like you said, it can it can really matter or whatever, because we were looking at 148,
yep. With like potentially 70 something, magic points on the previous level, and so I'm not used to fighting the Dragon Lord with that many hit points, with that many magic points going in. And last night, I think someone beat the Dragon Lord using only 6 heal mores or something.
Aaron actually just heals on 53 just in case. Uses his last heal more and wins on the second to last attack, but down he goes.
That is perfectly fair.
So...
And it's going to be a huge relief for him to, once he walks into the castle and gets a chance to do that done, to see where things are finally going to land.
Looks for the wings briefly, didn't see any, and goes with the return spell, which is guaranteed to be learned by level 16. So get your GGs out, guys. We might have to have our tracker post the exact official time. It was
2:01:14, apparently, was the official final race time.
Ah, very good.
Because I had that window open.
A little over 2 hours, so another 2-hour seed, guys. Welcome to the latest version of Rando. Challenging one. Nimanva seems maybe to be not continuing. Totally reasonable. And GG's for both. Might have a brief chat here, and we will see.
Yeah, this was an interesting race that had kind of a bit of divergence in the runners' strategies kind of throughout, but they were pretty much neck and neck through most of it. And yeah, like up until that last, failed dive or whatever, it was still anybody's game.
There will be some races tonight on the Randomania networks, guys, starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern and continuing later into the evening. So for more tournament action. But before heading off to those, yeah, let's see if they want to pop in here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get a chance to get some quick thoughts from the runners on that seed. It looks like Aaron might be joining us now.
Greetings, Aaron. GG.
And we don't hear you right now, so you might be muted or need push to talk.
Hey, we have some upcoming matches right there on our screen. Thanks, guys, for putting that up there.
Hello?
Yo!
So what are your thoughts on that seed?
It was pretty fun until the AK-47s with the sleep and the DL2 breath were kind of required to navigate. That wasn't very fun, but managed.
Yeah, toward the end game, when you got up to like level 13, level 14, and you had to choose either to try to continue grinding and where you were going to grind, or to see if you were going to dive for the armor at some point, what were kind of like the thoughts going through your head in terms of the trade-offs for the different decisions there?
Well, there was that really bad gold grind that was an option that was kind of in the back of my head the entire time. And I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what was in Hawksness before I even tried that. And when I saw it was the sword, I figured, silver would take way too long. And my agility was kind of low anyway, so I was hoping for a big boost. I never really got that. So then after that, it was kind of just a matter of, do I think I can make it? Well, and I did the one run where I kind of dove about halfway just to get a feel for what the enemies were and was trying to kill everything. And then decided to just get the next level. And then I think ultimately I decided to go to 17 because I knew I would probably need to burn some heal mores before I got to DL2. I didn't think it was likely I could get in there without burning at least 2.
Yeah, I think that was a good plan because you had seen all of the zones on when you went down to get the armor. So you must have known there were armored knights in multiple zones, and I think there were red dragons in the bottom zone. So sometimes that's a good play to make sure you have a little bit of extra stats there.
The other question I have toward the end of it is, obviously you died to an armored knight when you're just trying to run and stopped using the stop spell. You'd used some stop spell earlier on, and so what was the thoughts during those final dives in terms of what was the best play to get past the armored knight?
Yeah, I messed that up. I should have at least cast heal more before he cast sleep, like it was in my head, or to do something, because I knew I was in kind of a dangerous position, and I just chose to run, and that did not work. So I think I don't know what the stop spell rate was, but it seemed like it always worked, so that might have been a smarter move. But I think I was just kind of leaning into I would cast heal more when I needed to, especially since I didn't really have a lot of magic to spare. And I don't know. I don't know that was necessarily the right thing to do.
It's obviously just guesswork. I don't remember how many times you saw it work. It did turn out that they had 0 stop spell resist, and so the play of just stop spelling them and then possibly even just fighting through them was going to be a reliable way to get through.
Yeah, that it was a thought. I probably should have done it that way, but maybe it's just a little bit of a lack of experience to think that I could run more often than I could. Especially the agility, I think, wound up being kind of average.
Yeah, you were at 72 by the end. You're still, I think, a little less than a coin flip to be able to run from them, but it's getting close.
Yeah, the run equations I'm not very familiar with. I just know that if I have less agility than them, then it's probably not the likeliest thing that I can get away every time.
Yeah, I think the halfway point or something for the Armored Knight and the Red Dragon is somewhere in the 80 to 84 range. I'm sure someone in chat will point it out.
All right.
Yeah, just those 2 monsters in particular. Everything else is much easier to run from, but yeah, those ones can be tough. Yep. I think you need about 90 actually for red dragons, which I don't think you saw too many red dragons, fortunately, but plenty of armored knights. Yeah, that was a struggle. Struggle for both of you guys. Both failed multiple dives. You did maintain pretty good advantage starting after, after you had found coal and gotten the token. That kind of caught you up with collecting items, and then from there you kind of extended your experience lead. So you were able to withstand failing dives, and it turned out okay. This puts you up to 1-0, by the way, in the big tournament. So congrats on that. And you'll be facing another 1-0 opponent in the next round. What do you think?
Well, that's my goal entering the tournament was to try to win one match, and I achieved that already. So I'm very thankful. And GG's to Nimanva. I don't know what happened. What sort of thing happened with him? Like if he just had the same sort of luck and just getting.
It was a pretty close race throughout. Nimanva might have gotten a little bit lost in terms of noticing that he had all the items, so he spent a bit of time walking the overworld while you were starting to do grind. But Nim was just about to get level 17. 17 was the level that you won on at the time that you won, and so yeah, it was still within a failed dive possibility that either one of you could win up until the last few minutes.
Yeah, I'll note that Nim had a little bit of bad luck getting sniped in the grave, so I ended up rediving.
Oh, that's right.
And also got sniped right before grabbing the armor at one point. I don't know that either of those would have made the difference in the end, but it certainly held him back.
But yeah, it made for a close race. Nim, it sounds like, didn't have time to pop in for an interview because this one already ran over 2 hours, so we won't hear from him right now. But yeah, it was a very interesting match to watch pretty much throughout.
All right. Well, I'm glad it was a bit entertaining. I definitely marked down all of the obvious mistakes I made. Hopefully, I can work on that and get a little bit more well-rounded at this. But it's a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody who helped host this, and thank you guys for commentating.